Hi there, welcome to Taurus Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Taurus energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Taurus energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy. We've all got our dualistic nature, and Taurus energy within all of us can talk about Taurus is earth sign energy. We all kind of want these things of the world, right? Taurus can represent relationships and workplaces and status and image and money and power and influence, We can all kind of want those things, but high vibe Taurus, shadowy Taurus is kind of getting tipped more into balance about those things. And high vibe Taurus is kind of learning these lessons in life, that it is about balance. We do have our dualistic nature. We have our more hopeful, believing, loving, intuitive, creative, passionate, inspired nature. And we do have our more selfish, greedy, prideful, immature nature, right? And it's about learning lessons in life and having a balance in your life and growing up and walking the talk and acting with character and integrity and kind of being a good example in the world. And whatever story we're going to talk about right now could be something that maybe people in their Taurus energy or people who have significant Taurus placements in their astrological chart could really is a major thing that they need to deal with right now. But we all tap into Taurus energy, just like we tap into all the other zodiac signs. And we could be going through similar kind of experiences or the same type of struggle within ourselves. It just might be more so with people that are Taurus sun sign or have lots of Taurus placements. So, I view Taurus as having to do with our philosophy of life as a way of summarizing it. We've all debated within ourselves, consciously or unconsciously, about what our truth is and what we're more aligned with. More about us or the world or ego or image or money or truth and love and healing and growing and justice and fairness. And we're all in that battle. And there's always going to be people in the world that have moved forward, have learned some lessons in life, and we can all know some people, and some of the people we know that we feel might be more immature or prideful or whatever they are, they in turn could know people that they feel are more immature or prideful, right? So it's just kind of relative. Let's go look at the top row first. The Page of Wands. So in high vibe energy, the Page of Wands is having that more creative, inspired, hopeful, believing nature within yourself. In our more worldly fire sign energy, the Page of Wands can represent all three of the fire sign energies, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The reason for the bottom row's reading is the Temperance card of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. And it's kind of a universe card, a major arcana card. It's kind of like the divine and our higher self is patient with us. We all have these lessons to learn in life. Life's all about learning lessons. And some people we could have learned some lessons in life to be more hopeful and believing in ourselves and in our dreams, where some people in our life, we might feel like, they haven't learned some lessons about that. Shadowy Sagittarius can be kind of like an immature player. They could expect people to kind of indulge them in their poor behavior. Immaturity, pride, ego, stubbornness, whatever. And some other people have already been in relationships with people like that, and they're no longer willing. The Temperance card can be about being patient. I'm inspired to live my truth and my life and be in relationships with people who are more on the same page as me. Is there people in my life that I would like to have move forward with me in that way? Sure. But if they're still kind of on their journey, learning their lessons, and they're not ready to move forward with me in that type of energy, then it is kind of balancing out my emotions about the fact that they're not ready. And we've all, at different stages in our life, been ready to move forward in life differently at different times than other people. And just like when we weren't ready to move forward, we hope that some people in our life were gracious and were patient with us. Just like we've all had people in our life who were more emotionally mature than us, even if it was our parents. Who's like, honey, I wish you'd move forward like this, and why don't you love and believe in yourself? I think you're kind of indulging yourself in poor behavior. Well, we've all got these lessons learned. So it's like, we extend grace to people to just see that everybody's got to learn lessons in life. And it can be painful, and it can be difficult, and it can be challenging. But we maintain balance within ourselves, that I'm not going to let how other people are living their life kind of tip me out of balance, where I might get caught more up in my head or my fear or my insecurities or whatever. I'm going to wish you peace, and I'm going to keep moving forward. And high vibe energy is being a leader in the world, and Taurus is about being a spiritual leader in the world. Everybody's got to learn lessons. Apparently, you've got some lessons to learn. So let's go look at the top row. We have 3 cards not showing itself, and the only card showing itself is the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles also in high vibe can be people who are willing to be a student of life. You might be dealing with a fire sign, Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, and you could be an earth sign, Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn. But we all can be kind of more aligned with our worldly nature, our emotional nature, living a little bit more from our mind than our heart. And we all could know people, regardless of what zodiac sign they are, that kind of are maybe more bold, brave, kind of have a more hopeful, believing spirit than we do. And we could be inspired by that energy within ourselves, other people, books, movies, music. The divine uses all sorts of things to try to inspire us to be willing to be a student of life, to learn lessons in life, to... High vibe Sagittarius is about going on this adventure, that life's an adventure to be lived. There's lots of lessons to be learned. Have that bold, brave, creative, inspired nature of willing to be a student of life. And if there's some people in your life, you obviously, we all go through certain stages of life of learning lessons. If you went through some different stages of life and you did learn to get more balance within yourself and maybe more inspired to kind of wrap your brain around this game of life, and we're willing, you have to get out of your ego to even be willing to learn lessons in life. Get out of your pride and your ego and your stubbornness. And then when you harness that energy, it kind of can light this fire within you to, I don't want to repeat this old pattern. Whatever way I did live life, the way I used to view myself, the way I used to view the world, the way I used to view others, a certain viewpoint that I had, a way, how, maybe before I wasn't willing. Kind of, shadowy energy can be just that we're kind of caught up in our ego and our fear and our insecurity and our codependency. And we came in contact with all these different people in the world to try to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And there's always going to be some people in the world, because just like we have our dualistic nature, we have different people in our life that we can hang out with. And there's always going to be people in our life that want us to stay living life the way we were living it and viewing life the way we viewed it. And if we were fearful or insecure or prideful or codependent or whatever we were, they want us to stay that way because that could be the energy they're in. And they don't want us to invest in kind of looking at life as an adventure to be lived. They might live life more from their fear or their insecurities or something, you know? But if we've kind of come to realize that this was a stage of life that I went through to learn lessons, I feel like I've kind of learned the lessons I was meant to learn from that stage of life. And then high vibe energy is about being more independent from the past, from a version of yourself that could have been more immature and fearful or whatever. And I'm kind of inspired to move forward and face my fears. Just like some people can stay in a certain job, but then if the people in that job want you to just keep balancing out your emotions, that things might not be moving forward the way you wanted, same way people in a friendship or relationship can do, you should just be patient and just keep balancing out your emotions and you should stay here. And it's kind of like, I've been doing that. It doesn't ever seem to be moving anywhere. Because shadowy energy can be where people don't want to give birth to anything new. And high vibe energy is kind of seeing the truth because the truth sets us free. And with the Page of Pentacles holding one pentacle, when anyone in tarot is holding one pentacle, in high vibration, it means that they learn lessons in life. I have seen that something I was doing was for me to learn lessons. I did learn the lesson I was meant to learn from that. I saw maybe how I viewed life, how I viewed myself, how I viewed relationship. Maybe that I was repeating an old pattern, because we'll all repeat certain patterns in our life until we realize we're repeating a pattern. And then it's like, why am I repeating that pattern? I don't want to repeat that pattern. I'm going to see the truth of it, and I don't want to repeat that pattern anymore. And I do have that hopeful, believing spirit, and I'm going to move forward in life differently. Well, so then the way I interpret these three cards not showing themselves is that you had to do this inner work within yourself. There were some things previously that could have stopped you from being willing to move forward. And, you could have harnessed these energies in a more worldly kind of shadowy way. You could have people in your life that you were in relationship with that harnessed those energies in a more worldly, shadowy way. And you kind of saw the truth of it. And you did this work within yourself to figure out, why do I view life that way? Why do I feel this way about myself? Why do I view life this way? And you did this inner work, and that's what some people don't know about you, also with these cards not showing themselves. But you were willing to do the work within yourself. You were inspired to do the work. Some people lack inspiration to do the work to get to the truth. Why do I do what I do? Why do they do what they do? I mean, sometimes we can't figure out why other people do what they do, but are they acting in love? Are they being just and fair? Are they acting with character and integrity? Are they being immature? Are they being stubborn? Are they being prideful? Are they being egotistical? Are they being hurtful, unkind, abusive? Why would I stay in something like that? And it really isn't about trying to change other people. If I've kind of seen the truth, and maybe it was that you could be a very patient, hopeful, believing, loving person. And you can be very patient with other people that can be in shadowy energy, maybe hoping one day they'll see the truth. One day they'll be inspired to be more just or fair or authentic or loving or mature. But there kind of comes a time where feel like I've maybe done everything I can, and I have come to a place of peace and balance about it. Would I like this to have worked out differently? yes, but it takes everyone working together to bring a dream into reality. And maybe their dream is different than my dream, and what they're motivated and inspired by is different than what I'm motivated and inspired by. And if I don't want to get back in a situation like that, I kind of need to figure out what within me kind of got me in it to begin with, made me stay in it, made me keep kind of being extendedly patient with people. And you did that work within yourself. Some people who are more shadowy, it is all about trying to create this illusion that they did that work within themselves. That I've healed, I've grown, I've matured, I don't look at life the same way I used to, but they really do. It's just an illusion they create. And so some of those people could think you're just creating an illusion. And what they don't know about you is you're not just creating an illusion. You aren't the same person that you were before. You did kind of close out a cycle in your life, a way of viewing life, a way of viewing yourself, a way of viewing relationships, or what you thought was just and fair. You've detached from that, and you are willing to cut out certain people in your life if they weren't willing to get out of their ego and be willing to admit that they could benefit from healing or growing or maturing themselves. And again, we're all ready to do that when we're ready to do that. And I see the truth of it. So what are these two cards? The Sun in reverse and the Three of Cups upright. So the Sun card is Leo energy, which can be that you're a normal human being. We've got all three fire signs out here now. Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. When we're younger, probably the first 30, 40 years of our life, we're pretty caught up in the world. You know, there's all these things that we want to go indulge in and go invest in and manifest because we are sure that will make us happy. And I kind of think our fire sign energy is kind of like the last one to kind of transform, because in our heart and our mind and our worldly nature, those things we can learn all these lessons, but to not be more inspired by the world, that's a pretty big one to overcome, right? We can learn lessons about love and what's just and fair and what seems stable and grounded, but to kind of get out of being more influenced by our ego and these things of the world, that is kind of like a whole different way of viewing life. And what some people don't realize about you and that you had to work through was maybe how you were kind of being patient and had these lessons learned where you were kind of more motivated and inspired by these things of the world. And then you got in relationships with people who are more inspired maybe by these things of the world. And that's why they could have wanted to gotten in relationships. You know, fire sign energy. I want to be in a relationship. I want to have intimacy with people. I have these things I want to manifest. I might want to get in a relationship. I might want to get married. You know, and we have all these things that we want to manifest. And we want to have these new beginnings. And we want to look victorious and successful in the world. And it kind of forced you to do this work within yourself because you don't want to take action and get in a new job, friendship, or relationship more driven by your ego. And so then high vibe energy is being more independent of your worldly egoic nature and aligning with your more hopeful, believing, creative, inspired, intuitive, loving nature to guide you. And what some people don't know about you in the Three of Cups, which is Cancer energy, is, you know, the Three of Cups, Cancer energy, we want to be in a relationship with other people. But because we kind of could have wanted that so much, we kind of maybe we're patient with people, trying to be loving and encouraging, hoping they be more get out of their ego and work together with us more cooperatively from a place of love. And we realized how maybe people could take advantage of our more loving nature. Well, they kind of, maybe in a more shadowy fire sign energy, we're still just wanting to indulge in a relationship without really being willing to move forward in a more hopeful, believing nature, authentically operating from a foundation of love, and kind of realizing that if I want to be in a relationship more driven and motivated, building a foundation together from love, I've got to quit kind of indulging myself in my more worldly egoic nature that I want to be in a relationship, but I have to listen. I have my inner child nature that wants me to be in these more just and fair, balanced, authentic, loving relationships. And if I take action more out of immaturity or ego, I'm probably going to find myself back in the same type of relationship. And some people got in a mismatched relationship. Some people were a more hopeful, believing, loving person. And they could have thought everybody, if people get in a relationship and it's loving and supportive and encouraging and I love them, I'm sure they'll choose love. But we could have gotten in relationships with some people who's like, that's not my truth. I do kind of have a different view of life. I might like to be in a relationship, indulge myself in relationships, but love, no, I get hurt doing love. So there they could use kind of their fire sign energy and their emotional nature in a more manipulative way. Isn't that love? I'm having intimacy with you. I might be encouraging or supportive and in ways, but I don't authentically. And high vibe Leo, instead of operating from your ego, you really are being authentically yourself, and you're being loving and warm and encouraging because that is the truth of who you are. And you could have gotten in relationships again with some people who create the illusion that that's the type of person they are, but it's not really the truth of who they are. And we have to learn these lessons in life, because if God were to give you your divine inheritance, but you're still kind of thinking everybody is motivated and inspired to be just and fair and truthful and honest and loving, and they're not, So we can have that hopeful, believing nature within ourselves, but you have to know that there's wolves in sheep's clothing, and that there are deceptive and manipulative people. And when people show you the truth of who they are, or maybe before we rejected, the sun is trying to illuminate the truth. And before, we could have ignored the truth. We didn't want to see the truth. That's kind of shadowy energy. I don't want to see the truth. I want to stay in denial of the truth. And we rejected seeing the truth partly because we could love people. But high vibe energy is standing up for your truth, being just and fair, treating people in a loving, respectful way. If they in turn don't treat you in a loving, respectful way, you don't want to have new beginnings. The sun, I don't want the sun in reverse. I don't want a new beginning with you. Because I could feel like you use your fire sign energy and your emotional nature in a more manipulative way to try to get people to stay in relationship with you. But I don't think you're authentically motivated and inspired by love. It's something else. Lust, greed, pride, ego, self-indulgence, immaturity. And they think, because they just balance out their emotions about that's the fact how they live their life, and they might not be very authentic, and they do try to emotionally manipulate people, since they decide just to balance out their emotions about that's how they choose to live their life, they're hoping if they can get other people to get in a relationship with them, that those people will also just balance out their emotions, that they're kind of in a more mismatched relationship. And eventually people see the truth. I don't think you're more authentic, warm, loving, and encouraging and inspired by love. And though I could have love for people, I'm going to move forward in my life and away from staying in relationships with people who I don't think are being authentic and honest, and that I think try to use the love that I have for them to manipulate me, or I just view them as manipulative, or maybe bossy, controlling, egotistical, self-centered. That can be shadowy Aries and Leo. Immature, shadowy Sagittarius. I've kind of seen the truth. I kind of feel like I did what I could do. I offered people maybe love and encouragement. I was patient. But I have a dream that I want to bring into reality. And my dream can't come into reality and having a more stable, high vibe Taurus, a stable, grounded, emotionally mature kind of relationship that I want to manifest if other people aren't willing to get out of their ego and see the things that manipulate them within themselves, their fear, their insecurity, their pride, their ego, how other people in their life, how the world gets them caught up in their ego or whatever, and other people in their life. They could have other people who manipulate them and they don't see the truth of it. And you did. And sometimes some people have other people in their life who manipulate them, like their friends or their original family or other people in their life. And when I say original family, I can mean like brothers and sisters and siblings or parents, right? If they don't want to see the truth, well, then they want you to keep... If those things manipulate them, they want those things to manipulate... You just stay in a relationship with you, letting those things manipulate you also. I was like, but those things don't manipulate me like that. That's not like my issue. That's like your issue. You let those things manipulate you, or those people, or the world. Money, ego, image, power. It's just such... They've given it such importance in their life. It's tipped them out of balance, and they don't maybe even see it. Or don't want to see it. And eventually people are like, I can't keep staying here. If you're shadowy, or you let other things manipulate you, or you're more immature nature or prideful nature, or you want to go be immature, don't want to be more authentic and loving, I just choose to get out of my ego about it. I'm not going to take it personally. I could have for a long time. But I was inspired to offer love to it. To learn the lesson I was meant to learn from it. Everybody's where they're at. Everybody views life the way they view it. Just like I've had lessons learned. I viewed life the way I viewed life at different times. And other people in my life had their lessons and viewed life differently than me at different times. We're just where we're at, and we can't make other people see life differently until they do. And they're on their own journey of learning lessons. And I did learn the lessons, and I'm ready to move forward. I offered people probably the truth and love to come with me in that energy. And if they weren't willing to maybe reveal the truth, work together with me more cooperatively from love, then I wish you peace. And the people who were willing to get out of their ego and work through things that manipulated them to work with me, those are the people I'm going to work with. And then, as we're moving forward, this could be the last thing that people kind of need to work through. And with people that they're moving forward with, The Queen of Pentacles, which I view as Taurus energy. And it's a feminine figure, so again, it's about how we think and how we feel. The masculine figures can represent how we're taking action in the world and how we're presenting ourselves in the world. There's always going to be more immature, shadowy people in the world, and we tend to think other people think like we think and view life the way we view life. And again, there's going to be some people in the world, different people you're going to meet as you're moving forward, and different people who could pop up in your life, people that are in your life, people that you'll meet. We live in a world of duality where you have to make choices in life, and it's kind of like, have you emotionally grown and matured yourself? Are you going to listen to the lessons that you've learned, or are you going to go repeat an old pattern? You know? And there's always going to be people that want to be the next immature, bossy, controlling, prideful, egotistical, self-centered, whatever kind of person who's going to try to hide that they try to emotionally manipulate people and harness their Taurus energy in a more shadowy way. Don't you want to be in a relationship just to be in a relationship? Don't you want to be in a relationship because maybe you're mad or angry that something else didn't work out? Don't you want to be in a relationship or just take this job for stability or security or whatever, those kind of reasons, you know? And what some people don't know about you is that you're not more driven by your ego. If before you were much more patient with people, kind of willing to maybe kind of indulge them in their more emotionally manipulative ways, you know, you've emotionally grown and matured yourself and you could have a lot less patience, where it's just like, doesn't mean you have to be rude or harsh or anything. I just see the truth, and the pages are like these kind of lighthearted energies where it's like, oh, yeah, I don't need to keep trying to get to know you for more time because I've already seen by the way you've acted already that you are kind of immature or manipulative or prideful and egotistical. I wish you peace and I'm moving on, and I'm going to invest my time, energy, and effort into people who aren't like that. Kind of a more shadowy Sagittarius energy can be trying to chase after people to try to get them to like you or something, and that can be kind of from our ego because we haven't learned to love ourselves. And I view high vibe Leo as we have learned to love our own inner child, worldly nature. We offer ourselves love and compassion and forgiveness. We offer it to other people in our past so that we can be free to move forward in life and kind of no longer more manipulated by our ego nature. And we've learned to be, like the Queen of Pentacles, a loving, nurturing, emotional person to ourselves. Like a good mother, father, coach voice to ourselves. And there's always going to be people that are going to come thinking, oh, I'm sure you want to go indulge in a relationship for these ulterior purposes. And I think, you'll get to know people. You're not going to take action more out of ego. It's just to get along with people, to, if they're in your friend group, your family, your workplace, your community, to get along with people. But the pages can also mean, unlike a queen, it doesn't go any further. It's kind of like people stay in the friend group. And, I can know all sorts of people, but I don't more emotionally invest. And the King and Queen of Pentacles are people who can get married, It's the only married suit of the deck. That I can meet all sorts of people. I can kind of enjoy people's company, being friends and socializing with them. But you do stay in the friend category. And then some of those people, as they kind of get to know you, it's like, oh, They're not going to take action more out of pride or ego or all these other reasons. They're more balanced, so then those people might have to go try to find someone else to get in a relationship with them. And I think you're going to listen to your intuition about who are the people that have maybe learned some of these same lessons as you've learned in life, who are less inspired by ego and image and lust and greed and pride and ego, or themselves, who kind of have that hopeful, believing spirit and they are more authentically themselves. And then you can let your more authentic nature out to play in the world because you don't think there are people who are going to abuse it. And then maybe if it were to, maybe again, initially, the pages can mean just you're just kind of meeting people or getting to know people or reacquainted, whatever the case may be. And then, with anybody that you meet, and some people you've definitely cut out of your life and you don't care to be in a relationship with them anymore. There could be other people in your life that you would be willing to see where people stand in their philosophy of life. And if you're kind of on the same page or not. And if you do think you're on the same page, you would move forward with those people. If you don't think that you're really kind of on the same page, then you wouldn't. And you're bold and brave and confident enough in yourself that I think if I take action more out of these shadowy reasons, it's going to get me stuck in something like I've been stuck in before. And maybe the people I meet, we could learn from each other, someone might be more practical or grounded. Other person might be a little more creative and inspired and intuitive. And it's kind of for the creative, inspired, intuitive people to maybe get more grounded. For the more practical or grounded people to kind of go a little bit more with the flow in a way. Let's go look at the bottom row. We have the Page of Swords. And then we have two cards not showing themselves and the Nine of Pentacles. So, there could be some people in your world that you could feel kind of align with living more from their mind than their heart. Some or kind of immature, maybe in their thinking, logic, and reasoning you could feel. But it could be a Libra, an Aquarius, or a Gemini. And Libra has to do with what we think is just and fair. Aquarius can be about, if we're more caught up in looking like a star in the world, or more egotistical and self-centered, or if we look at life from a higher perspective. And Gemini is about our dualistic nature, about what our truth is. And there might have been some people that you've worked with before that you could think could harness those energies in a more shadowy way, regardless of what zodiac sun sign they are. And I think, again, in our more worldly nature, that kind of was our truth, motivated and inspired by the world, wanting people to like us, wanting to look victorious and successful, these things that kind of motivated and drove us. And in our more emotional nature, our worldly nature, and our fire sign nature, we were all on board with that at one point in time in our life. But as time went by, the Nine of Pentacles can be that, again, that we've learned these lessons in life. And then the nines are about closing out a cycle and detaching from an old way of living life and viewing life. And then we have these new beginnings. I was 15, and then I became 18, and I put away my 15-year-old ways of living life and viewing life to become more like an 18-year-old, and I was more inspired to live life differently. And, just like we went from 15 to 18 to 21 to 25, somewhere along the way in people's life, They either might want to just stay single, which is what the Nine of Pentacles can talk about, and just kind of indulge himself in the world and in relationships. And they think they'll be happy doing that. And other people could want to stay single also. People could have a problem with being in more formalized commitments like marriage. But are we doing it being truthful and authentic and loving, not trying to manipulate and control people because we just are in it for our own selfish, greedy, kind of prideful or immature reasons? Are we being truthful and authentic? Are we operating from love? Are we acting with character and integrity? And there's some people that either they don't want to be in a formal commitment or they get informal commitments, but they think it's like they can still be more about themselves. And then once they get someone in a relationship, oh, well, now I can go be more immature or bossy or controlling. And it's kind of like getting in it, but then not really willing to bring that dream into reality. And then there's just some people that have a lot of lessons to learn. And the difference between the King of, or the Page of Swords and the Knight of Pentacles are these two cards, which is the Ace of Swords and the Six of Wands. I think if people are in more shadowy energy, for one, they haven't been inspired maybe to get more out of living more from their ego. Because the Six of Wands is also Leo energy. And some people's truth is, I am still more about these things of the world. Or my lust or my greed or my pride or my ego or money or materialism or status or image or me. And other people have kind of were inspired to get out of their more being about those things. And they learned lessons in life. And they got more balance within themselves. And they could have seen the truth that when I act more from ego, or if I'm kind of acting shadowy ways, loving people aren't going to keep investing in me. They're eventually going to leave. And why would I think it's kind of just and fair to maybe be more about me? Why do I think I should kind of be indulged in a relationship? That it should be more my way or the highway, or just that I'm kind of the deferred person to in a relationship? Because that's shadowy Taurus energy. Shadowy Taurus, represented by the Six of Pentacles, we can exchange time, energy, and effort and resources with people. In high vibe energy, we're supposed to be doing it being just and fair and authentic and in a romantic relationship because of love. And some people, they could kind of love someone, but it's still this underlying truth. Then I kind of think it's a little bit more about me. And maybe because I have these certain things of the world, maybe I look a certain way, have certain traits or characteristics or physical body things about me, or money that I have, or status, or power, or social clout. And I kind of hide from the world, that I do kind of harness a shadowy Taurus view of life. And that can be if I think that I have these things of the world, and some people, they got all these things, they're just very egotistical and self-centered and full of themselves. But they could think, maybe in some way, with this kind of representing Libra and Aquarius and Gemini, maybe they do seem in a way like they have some type of justice in the world. In some way, they could shine bright in the world again, if that's their words, their charm, their looks, their status, their social clout, their money, that they could think that, I think there's other people who are single in the world who would want to be in a relationship with me, even if I'm not more authentic and warm and loving, and even if I am kind of more about myself or more self-indulgent or kind of use my emotions manipulatively. Because I don't think some of those people are willing. This, well, it's kind of like a fairy, so it's kind of hard to tell. It kind of looks masculine and feminine. And then this one definitely is a man. So in order to move forward, kind of we've got to get ourselves balanced, and being balanced also between our ego nature, which can be represented by the masculine cards, and our emotionally intuitive loving nature. Being more balanced within ourselves so that we can go out in the world. The masculine energies can be about taking action in the world. And they could think, I don't think some people in the world, whether I'm a male or a female, whether they're a male or a female, I don't think that they do kind of have enough of that hopeful, believing spirit within themselves to keep moving forward, maybe, and believing in themselves and believing in their dreams. High vibe Taurus, walking the talk. I think they'll come get in a relationship with me, and then I think I can just hide the truth that I do operate more from my pride and ego, that I could be defensive, I could get caught up in my head, I could be immature, I could think I'm all that, I could think that people should be more codependent on me, you know? And then they think they can just hide the truth that they do operate more from fear, insecurity, or pride, or ego. But the whole thing is, they can be people who never get more balance within themselves. We can all stay in denial of the truth, and some of these people reject the truth. I don't want to see the truth that I should get out of. The Six of Wands moves away from the Five of Wands. The 5 and the 6 are both Leo energy. They could be someone who has a lot of inner conflict, is what the Five of Wands can talk about, but they don't want to deal with it. Nope, I don't have to deal with it. I'm sure I can just keep moving forward. Whatever it is that causes me inner conflict, if that's past pain, heartbreak, fear, insecurities, whatever, I don't have to deal with it. I'm going to ignore it. I have an idea. I'm going to keep moving forward in my ego. I'll just create this illusion that I've healed, that I've grown, I've matured, that I am this more stable, grounded, wise person, right? And I'll just try to balance out my emotions. That's not really the truth of who I am. I am just trying to create an illusion in the world. Because they don't. Or the Five of Wands can be people that are very competitive in the world, but they might not like other people to know that they're very competitive, more about their ego and their image and status and power. And they could want to get in relationships more with people who, the Nine of Pentacles is Virgo energy, Earth sign energy, who either have those things of the world that they want, the money, the power, the social clout, or are maybe very patient, who are willing to kind of indulge them in their poor behavior, or trying to find someone who's kind of on the same page as them. And if they can find someone who also hides that I am willing to get in relationships and stay in relationships because I have my own inner conflict about loving and believing in myself, working through my own fears or insecurities that keep me in inner conflict. You know, and another thing that the shadowy people are trying to hide is that some of the people who left their life, those people were just fair, authentic, loving, inspired by love. But because they either took some immature action, or because if they were to keep moving forward with those people, they would have to get out of their more egoic nature, defensive nature, prideful nature. And that really is emotionally kind of the foundation they operate from within themselves. And they weren't willing to invest in that. That's kind of not their truth. But, of course, they don't want people to know that, so they hide that some of the people in their life were these just and fair and loving people. But they didn't want to move forward with them because the truth is, if people aren't willing to indulge them in their ego, because they think they're all this in the world, then they don't want to keep being in a relationship with them. If those people that they had been in a relationship did this work within themselves during the course of the relationship or the friendship, and those people kind of freed themselves, that's kind of high vibe Virgo energy. I did this work within myself to work through my own fears and insecurities that made me not be more authentically myself and love and believe in myself. And then all these things were able to manipulate me. And I worked through all those things and I got to the truth. Because it's our Virgo nature that does that work within ourselves to come out with the truth. And then we offer that truth to our philosophy of life and our Taurus energy about how we want to make decisions going forward. I have healed, I have grown, I have worked through my ego or whatever it was, and I've emotionally grown and matured myself. And then we can be in relationships with people that at one time we were hanging out having a great time, but then when one person kind of did do some of that work, they were kind of a different person in the Page of Pentacles. I'm not the same person I was before. I am kind of inspired to look at life differently than I did before. But I did this work to work through some of those things that had caused me mental conflict or inner conflict. That kind of kept me in my ego or my fear or whatever. And I don't want to keep presenting myself in the world in a way that's not really the truth maybe of who I am, but again, I had to go through all these life experiences and come in contact with all these different people, like everyone else, to help me get clear about what my truth was and my truth wasn't. And by some of these relationships I got in, it helped me really get clear about what my truth was. And so then those people are more ready to move forward in life differently, and the other people weren't. It's like, I'm not ready to become independent of this old way of living life or viewing life. I could still enjoy it. I haven't looked at life any differently. And then we just see the truth, that their kind of truth is different than your truth, how they want to move forward, what they view as victorious and successful, and what they want to invest their time, energy, and effort into is different. And so high vibe people, though, they're able to offer peace to it, to accept that everybody's where they're at, and they're able to move on. The other people still might be hiding that they're kind of in their ego about it. Well, why didn't those people want to keep living their life like this? And why didn't they want to keep hanging out with me and living life like this? Why isn't their truth maybe more about the world than being more in their fire sign energy, more motivated and inspired to high vibe Virgo to grow and heal and mature themselves? Why didn't they keep living their life like this or staying more codependent? Why were they inspired to look at life differently? Why did they do that inner work? And then those people, if it bothers them, they'd have to kind of figure out, well, why do I let these things manipulate me? Why do I kind of hide behind my false mask or operate more from my ego or let these things or the world or things within me manipulate me? But you have to put in that work and effort to get more balance within yourself, to offset those things that manipulate you by like being a loving, nurturing person to yourself, offering yourself love and compassion and forgiveness, offering other people in your life love and compassion, forgiveness. They were at where they were at, and they viewed life the way they viewed life. And I'm not going to let it keep manipulating me. I wish them peace. I'm moving on. But some people could have people in their life, maybe a Leo, maybe people in their life who are kind of more driven by ego or image. And they have maybe a hard time becoming more independent of those people. And then you see the truth, and it's like, well, you enjoy your life with the people you want to enjoy your life with. Apparently, my dream can't come into reality with you because our philosophy of life is different in our Taurus energy. What we're kind of motivated and inspired by is different. You might want to keep making your life maybe shadowy Taurus conforming to the world. Not living your more authentic life. No, we got to wear this and we got to act like this and we only talk to these people, not those people, and we only go to these places if those other people are there. Because if those other people aren't there, then it might look bad. It's high vibe energy is being independent to live your authentic life. I'm going to go live my authentic life because the world is going to judge me regardless based on who they are. I'm going to go live my truth, and my truth is in high vibe energy. I treat people with love and respect and encouragement. I treat them the way I want to be treated, and I just go enjoy my life in high vibe energy as being balanced, in a balanced way, enjoying my life in the world. And other people could be like, oh no, you have to live your life like this, and you have to conform to this, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. And it's like, it's all getting caught up in all these rules and regulations. Like, how about I listen to love and intuition to guide me? And I don't let all these man-made rules. Because if I were to hang around some people, they would tell me I should wear these things and act like this and dress like that. And then if I were to hang around other people, they'd tell me, no, 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 you should wear this and act like this and do these things. And then if I go to someone else, it's kind of listening to a higher truth and justice to guide your life than getting so caught up in what the world tells you. I'm going to go live my authentic life, not trying to hurt anyone, not being rude or mean to anyone, treating other people with love and respect. And I guess if you have a problem with that, then, we're not on the same page. And you go enjoy your life, and I'll go enjoy my life. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Taurus energy that they might not see coming? Well, if people are in the process of doing this within themselves, because again, these three figures are feminine, this one's feminine, this one is kind of a mix between masculine and feminine, and again, that can trying to get more balance between our ego nature and our intuitive loving nature. As people are inspired to wrap their brain around this game of life, they get more balanced. And the Two of Pentacles is Capricorn energy, and shadowy Capricorn is represented by the Devil, which are all these things that manipulate us. And because you did that work within yourself, you are kind of free. You have picked up your investment in things that you found to be manipulative or controlling, because the devil is about things that limit us, restrict us, confine us, oppress us, imprison us. The devil card looks just like the lover's card, except it's kind of shadowy and people have chains around their necks. We're supposed to grow and mature ourselves to our full potential, and we need to be in relationships with people who accept that we are, in the Nine of Pentacles, our own individual. We have our own unique talent, skills, and interests, and we have our own dreams. And some people don't like that. It's like, no, let that go, and you come over here and get in a relationship with me. And then it's kind of more about them, their dreams. Shadowy Aries, Leo, Sagittarius can be, I'm kind of more about myself, could be a little bossy and controlling and egotistical and immature, and I kind of think it's more about me. And you should just kind of balance out your emotions that you're maybe not investing in your dreams or yourself, because I don't really like you doing that. But because you don't like to be single and maybe invest in yourself and believe in yourself, well, then you should come make your life more about me. And you've picked up your investment in that way of viewing life and those types of people. And you have freed yourself. And then when you have emotionally freed yourself, that's when you are ready to go take action. Other people sometimes, because they don't do this inner work, they could go take some kind of immature action, more out of pride and ego and lust and greed or whatever, just to feel better. And then they could get themselves in a relationship that they really don't view as a victory and that they don't really want to move forward with. But because they also don't like being single, then they just try to balance out their emotions that they got themselves in something that they really shouldn't have gotten themselves into to begin with. But that's kind of like the devil, right? Go indulge in these things. It'll make you happy. You don't have to do this work within yourself to heal and grow and mature yourself. You don't want to free yourself from any of these things, do you? And so they have to go do another round of trying to see the truth, and they may never want to see the truth. And other people did. And they said, I don't want to repeat this pattern. So the Page of Pentacles, on one hand, you and someone else could have harnessed your Page of Pentacles energy differently. They could be more aligned with, in their earth sign energy of Virgo and Taurus and Capricorn, more aligned with that is their truth. The Virgo energy is represented by the Knight of Pentacles moving forward with this Ace of Pentacles. This is my truth. And in our Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini, and Virgo, and Earth sign energies, there's going to be people that is their truth. I am more about these things of the world, or I look to these things of the world. I'm sure that'll make me happy. If I do love, I get hurt. And I'd have to maybe be more bold and brave, and people might require me to get out of my ego and emotionally grow and mature or heal. That takes a lot of work and effort. That isn't what I want to invest my time, energy, and effort into. You did. You go. I'll go find someone else who's kind of more on the same page as me. So you could have cut out some people who in their Page of Pentacles energy harness their earth sign energy differently than you. And also, no longer willing to invest in people who haven't picked a path. You know, we have our dualistic nature. I can either build a foundation more on truth and love and justice and fairness and growing and healing, or I can be more about the world. And then there's some people who just want to go back and forth, and they can't decide, you know, what they want to invest in. That would be kind of more, well, it could be the Two of Swords, Libra, the Seven of Swords, Aquarius, the Eight of Swords, Gemini. I can't decide what my truth is. What would be victorious and successful? If I get in relationships with the loving people, I love the loving people, but then, I don't know, I kind of want to be more immature and indulgent, and they kind of require me to hold myself to a higher standard. And then if I go get in a relationship who are more willing to be about these things of the world, or more willing to indulge me, some of those people aren't very creative or inspired or loving. And then I kind of miss the loving, and they keep going back and forth. So some people don't want to pick a path in their dualistic nature. I kind of want to go back and forth. And it's like, I'm done investing in people who juggle. I have picked my path, and it is maintaining balance within myself from a place of truth and love and being inspired by truth and love. That is my path. And then some other people are like, that's definitely not my path. Or, damn, I'd like to go on that path with you. But in order to do that, I have to do this work within myself to become independent of maybe living more from my mind and my ego and things that manipulate me. And some of those people some people in your life are doing that work. You know, in a relationship, we have to get out of our ego, be more independent of our more immature thinking, logic, and reasoning to keep investing in maintaining balance in relationships. And the people that are in our life currently are doing that work with us, some of them. Some people are just now seeing the truth about people who are juggling them, and who is more just and fair and balanced, and who is more worldly focused, ego focused, manipulative. But the high vibe people are looking to be in relationships with other people who've seen the truth. I have my truth, you have your truth. But because there is love there, we can maintain balance in this relationship. We can be a little different, but that's okay. So long as truth and love is the driving factor in it and not more of these things of the world. And I think there's going to be other people who will want to balance things out with you as people see you moving forward in this balanced, stable, grounded, practical, high vibe Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus. And also being inspired, not being in relationships more for other reasons, or being more bossy or controlling or manipulative, kind of entitled or something in workplaces and friendships. There's other people that are inspired to want to work with you and balance things out with you. Because there's also always other people in the environment that, they'd rather probably not hang out with because they know those people are more in shadowy energy. What's coming up for people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy, which can be kind of stubborn and prideful, kind of like to play God in people's life. Like, you shouldn't listen to your own intuition or love and believe in yourself. You should make me God in your life. And if I say something's just and fair, it's just and fair, even though it's not just and fair. And they could be really caught up in their ego and their image or money and materialism. Of course, they don't want people to know that. What's coming up for them that they might not see coming up? Well, it has to do with this card not showing itself. Queen of Cups. Why? Because of the Queen of Pentacles. So again, the water sign energies, the opposite side of the zodiac wheels of the water sign energies, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio, is the earth sign energies. And some people who are water sign energies or have a lot of water in their chart could kind of tip in favor of kind of indulging people because they're very loving people. They can be very patient with people. But there does come a time, and they learn these lessons in life, that I need to get more grounded and practical. And I also need to stand up for what I believe in. And maybe before, I wasn't willing more to stand up for what I believe in my Virgo nature of standing up for my truth and what I believe in. And what I believe in my Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus energy is that I think if I'm treating people in a just and fair and loving and nurturing and supportive way, I want to be in relationships with people who are like that also. And I had some lessons to learn. I could have gotten drawn and attracted to some people where I was repeating an old pattern, and maybe I was more codependent with the pages, and maybe I hadn't learned to be more inspired to, and I had these lessons to learn to emotionally grow and mature myself. And now that I have learned these lessons, there's certain people and things I don't want to more emotionally invest in anymore because I am more inspired and I've learned to maintain balance within myself, because shadowy energy and more codependent energy can be where you're looking for someone to play the role of like a nurturing, loving person in your life because you haven't learned to do that for yourself. And so then we can get in relationships with people, and that's why we can be drawn and attracted to them, because they do seem like these emotionally nurturing, loving people. And in a lot of ways they are. But the problem is they keep thinking that you'll stay right there. And it's like, I don't mind you healing and growing and maturing yourself some, but I don't want you to get inspired to go live your more authentic life. I didn't think you were ever going to get out of your ego or your fear or your insecurities or your more worldly view of life, because I don't plan on doing that. I thought we were going to stay right here. And it's like, and that can be people also who like to get in more codependent relationships. Like, I like to view myself as this emotionally nurturing, loving person. I like to get in relationships with people who maybe are more codependent. I might have more stability or security than you have, or power, or social clout, or whatever. And I want you to keep staying in a relationship, but I want you to never really come into your own and really love and believe in yourself, where you're ready to move forward, to step out of this comfort zone, because I don't want to step out of this comfort zone. This is where I like to stay. And I don't. And so that's where one person is, it's kind of for ulterior purposes. It's good for my ego and my image. I'm in a relationship with someone who could have that hopeful, believing spirit, who maybe hasn't learned to love and believe in themselves, but they could be a very loving, patient person. Perfect, you're just the type of person I was looking for. Or maybe I have more status or image or money, and I'm looking to find someone who will be more codependent on me, and I want it to stay here. And that's kind of the problem, is that, you know, sometimes you can have people in your life, friends or family members or parents, who is like, well, honey, I do want you to heal and grow and mature yourself, but I didn't want you to, like, go live your authentic life and be free. You know, I wanted you to keep investing in me, because I don't want to do the work it takes within me to free myself from things, from this way of viewing life that I think is just and fair. And then they go try to find someone else to repeat that pattern with. And as they keep trying to repeat that pattern, well, I view myself as a loving, nurturing person. It's like, yes, but you don't want people to be more independent. You want them to stay more codependent. The loving people want other people to grow to their full potential and be more independent. And we work together in a more balanced relationship. It's like, well, I don't like a more balanced relationship. I like it when you're more codependent. And then some people, they're just more materialistic, and they're looking to get in a relationship with someone who has those things of the world that they want. And if they were going to put more work and effort into a relationship, because they could think, might not believe in love, you know, it is all about pride and ego and money and materialism. That's the most important thing. I'll go find someone who has those things of the world. But what they don't see coming is, for one, if they're trying to repeat this pattern, or they're just being kind of immature, they're not maybe being truthful and authentic. There can be people who want to be in a relationship with them, but eventually, and there could be worldly reasons, you know, that's part of a decision, you know. We could be family members. We could have created a family together. I have love for you. But eventually, the high vibe people in their life, out of love for themselves, are going to quit emotionally investing in people who either are staying single from them and aren't investing in working things out with them. And some people thought, oh, you'll be patient forever and I can go do whatever the hell I want to go do. And when I'm ready, I'll come back and come get in a relationship with you. And the other people are like, well, I don't think that's very just and fair. And apparently we feel differently. If I am ready to move forward in a relationship with you, and I am want to put in that work and effort, but you don't, well, I could view you as very immature. And, you know, again, it can feel like someone using the love that you have for them to manipulate you. Well, that's not very loving. And that's not acting with character and integrity. That's someone who's being like an immature person who thinks, because you love me, I don't think you'll leave or become independent of me. And just like it's happened to other people in the world, and with some of these people in the past, they could have some more people in their life that are done investing in them because they got more balanced I can love people, but I'm not going to indulge them in their poor behavior. And if I see they keep indulging in their poor behavior, then I'm going to move on from them. They can go manipulate someone else or indulge in other people. And I'm going to go invest in people who are more balanced and authentic. And I'm not going to let my loving nature manipulate me anymore. What is the opposite sign of Taurus? It is Scorpio. And Scorpio does talk about our deep emotional connections we have with people, and it's really confusing, you know. But we have to deal with the truth. And the truth is, if some people aren't offering love to the people they're in relationships with, and they're not being truthful, and they're not taking action, being more truthful and authentic, then they're people who are trying to basically manipulate people to get people to indulge them in their poor behavior. And the high vibe people in their life see the truth and they're going to move on. Will there always be other people who are the next person who, or the same people that are willing to keep indulging them? Yes. But it might not be love. It might be more because of ego or image or status. And they could be more immature. I'm willing to be in a relationship with you. I don't like being single either. I don't want to have a new beginning. Are you willing to be in a relationship with me? I'm willing to be in a relationship with you. We'll all just balance out our emotions that we could be moving forward in a relationship, hiding that the reason we're in the relationship is more because loving people might have seen the truth of who we were and they moved on. Or that we're more motivated by pride and ego or lust or greed. Of course, we don't want people to know that. And while other people go on this adventure, learning lessons in life, and some people do it just to prove a point because they're in their ego. You wouldn't do it the way I wanted you to do it, being you wanted me to, I don't know, be more independent? How dare you? I'm not going to offer you love, even though I could feel it be that's stubbornness, right? And Taurus can be very stubborn. That anyone can harness. I'm not going to have a new beginning with you. I'm not going to work with you cooperatively in love. I'm going to stay here in this more immature energy because I think you won't love and believe in yourself. And then as you do move forward and pick up your investment in them, aren't making an offer to them, aren't taking action towards them anymore, you know, kind of maybe could become more overwhelming to them. But it's like, I'm doing truth and love with or without you. If you want to keep doing this, go do it. And as time keeps going by, the more I realize you're not someone I want to be in a relationship with anyway. And I've learned to do all this work within myself, to love and believe in myself and believe in my dreams. And I might finally see the truth that you're not someone my dream can come into reality with anyway. Because you're really not inspired by truth and love. You're more defensive, materialistic, immature, stubborn. And I don't want to move forward with people who are like that. And then when they see that you've picked up your investment in them, you know, they'll probably repeat the same pattern with someone else. It's like, good luck. I'm moving on. So there you go, Taurus. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.